just for a minute. Close your eyes for a second.
Hi Posh fam, welcome back to yet another commentary of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. We're going to be talking all things episode 14. Now very quickly, I would like to say, if you haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. I do not know what you are waiting for. Subscribe, like, comment, and share this channel with your friends. Now let's get into the talking points that made this particular episode. Now very quickly, I'm going to touch a few highlights before I get to the main event. There wasn't anything crazy, and I'm going to particularly leave this particular conversation for last. The first things first, there was a sit down between Dorit and Garcelle. Now, this particular sit down is a long time coming, okay? Because we all know that Garcelle and Dorit do not see eye to eye. Now, they are diplomatic because they have to be. There's money to be made as co-partners on the show. However, when it comes to having a relationship outside of camera, it's not going to happen. I don't see it happening now, and I don't think it's going to happen in the future, thanks to Bozoma, I would think. Now, this particular sit down happened after the caviar disaster. Now, prior to the caviar disaster, there was an olive branch extended to Garcelle by Dorit to say, you know what, let's have a sit down, let's talk about, you know, our past and put our animosities aside. Now, so the fact that this particular sit down happened after the caviar disaster was, you know, should I say perfect timing of the sit down. Obviously, the conversation was going to go back to the caviar catastrophe, and very quickly, Dorit had to call Garcelle out for not, should I say, standing in defense of her right then and there when the incident occurred. Garcelle did agree that her friend Sutton was out of line, but I would say that in that moment, it wasn't in anyone's place to jump in. You know, just let these women, because they have been tugging it out for close to 13 episodes now, and so if you guys cannot resolve your differences, there's just this particular one was not going to be for the books for me to get involved. I would say Garcelle, however, should maybe behind the scenes or off camera have a chat with Sutton with regards to the way she speaks and the things she says. I mean, we can all get angry. It's you know, anger is something that can come as a result of someone not being nice to you. You know, over time there's a frustration of that. But yeah, Dorit wants an on-camera defense, you know, by Garcelle against Sutton for her. Will that happen? Remains to be seen. Maybe at the reunion, but I do not know if it's going to be happening in any of the episodes that's left to go. But that aside, they did have a decent, should I say, civilized conversation. We're going to move from here to Erica. Erica has invited her mom over. Her makeover of her rented space isn't complete. It looks beautiful. She feels like a whole brand new person. And you know what? I think I have to give it to Erica by apologizing to her. And that is because we were all hard on her during the last 3-4 seasons, you know, with all of the allegations surrounding her ex-husband, Erica Giraldi, and the fact that she was also liable for some of the damages that occurred, allegedly, you know, and we did not get the chance to see a woman that was grieving the end of her marriage. And so we can actually see the vulnerability in Erica on display, and you can actually see the hurt she was nursing all through while she was going with the public bashing and the scrutiny surrounding finances, surrounding her marriage, surrounding everything. It was relentless, and that she could actually breathe now, you know, speaks volume of resilience and who she is as a woman. And I just have to say kudos to you, Erica. Her mom, you know, was happy for her. The mom looks like an ice princess. She looks like an ice queen, like porcelain white woman. And you can actually see where Erica gets her strength and resilience from. It's not far-fetched. From this particular conversation, we then move on to Sutton. Now, Sutton went ahead with the fashion show. Okay, now I shouldn't say this because there were evidence. Okay, all right, the fashion show happened, and her mom was a no-show. Now, according to Sutton, according to media reports at the time, this particular no-show was blamed on airline disaster, disruptions, weather events, in that time. And the mom tried her best, but did not show. I don't know. Can we all say that we saw this coming because of the episode that aired when Erica went to visit the mom in Augusta? The mom did not seem keen in attending, even though she did say she was going to attend. She did not seem keen, and the fact that she was a no-show at the event kind of says it all. In defense to Sutton and her mom, they have formed a better relationship following the Augusta visit, okay? And Sutton feels her mom did everything she could to attend this particular event, and for that, she was grateful. Now, this particular runway show was a success, not without Katy trying to steal the spotlight, of course. It was just, I love Katy. That woman is goofy as... And then he explained a lot why she's still, who she is and reverenced, and the way she is. She is just a breath of fresh air. I kind of, like, whenever she comes on my timeline, on my screen, I can't just help but laughing because I know there's something goofy that she's just going to do, and you just cannot help yourself but just love her even more. Even sometimes you're like, how in the hell is this woman doing this? And then you just can't help yourself but laughing. Like, it was a successful runway show. Gacelle's son walked the runway. Jennifer Tilly also walked the runway. The outfits that were on display seemed like ready to wear. They seemed wearable as opposed to the other runway shows that we see where most of the outfits are like, I don't know, haute couture, or definitely not for ready to wear on an everyday basis. Anyway, we get into all the ladies were present. I mean, they did put their heads in, and there was no drama, okay, which was one of the for the record books, because most of the events, there is always something that derails the purpose of the gathering, And then we'll go to the final scene, and this happened, actually was the first scene, okay. We also what happened last episode, where photos of Mauricio and a girlfriend or someone, young female stranger, leaked, while they were holidaying in Mykonos in Greece. Now, of course, in perfect Kaale style, she brushed it off, okay? It was left for the other housewives to tell, basically. And there was a sit down between Kaale and Katy whilst they were on their way for a mammogram, which is a very beautiful thing to do, because according to Kaale, with a history of breast cancer in their family, I think she lost her mom to breast cancer following an undiagnosed a lump, and that was 4 years in. And when eventually it was diagnosed, it was stage 4, and she felt that if her mom had caught it earlier, she would have been present, which is quite sad. It was a very heartwarming moment to see these two sisters going in for the mammogram, and as again talking about the stress that Kaale is dealing with post separation from her husband, and how she feels with regards to the photo leaking to the press. Of course, Kaale is devastated. She feels it was staged, like everyone else feels it was staged. We all know that Mauricio is no Denzel Washington. He's a famous actor. He's not. So how the hell will a picture be leaking of him is very suspect, okay? And so Kaale is disappointed. They're separated. So it's hard to actually say, ooh, juicy. It's not juicy because they're no longer together. It's now an understanding between them to explore if anything that is out there. And so they're both exploring, because in the same breath, Kaale had a concert with Wade. Now, we're not talking about Wade because there was a clear gag order about Kaale to the other ladies not to talk about Wade. Now, she feels that Wade is her friend. She's still insisting, despite the fact that the conversations surrounding this Wade seems very suspect. Now, so we don't know. We're not questioning Kaale's sexuality here. Whenever she's ready to tell us who she is, we're ready for it. And so, again, whilst the conversation was happening, Katy, did a few goofy moments, challenged Mauricio to, we know how to get informations if you want to. Of course, Katy is wealthy. I mean, all she needs to do is make a phone call and information will be leaking out left, right, and center. And Kaale doesn't want that. We saw Kaale going on to Instagram and deleting Y from her bio. Like, I'm not sure why she didn't do it sooner. She had to do it now. She's upset, obviously. She's still back and forth. She doesn't conflicted on as to if she should call him or not call him based on what Katy was saying. She ended up saying it's none of our business. They're both choosing to live separate life. Now, what happens after this is what we're going to find out, because at one point, I thought this was a separation on camera for TV or storyline. Now it's looking more serious. But again, I'm not going to put anything past these people, because they can do everything. They can put anyone on the line for check. So we'll see, and we'll watch this space and see how this plays out. This is how it ended in this particular episode. We're going to wait until later to see what becomes of the conversations with the other housewives as it relates to this particular incident. Because was it clearly addressed directly to Kaale? Not yet, because Kaale has not seen the other girls in a group setting outside the Suttons runway event, which it was not going to be a good place to have this type of conversation. But we will see how this progresses. Now, so far so say, this was a very, very tamed episode. Thank you so much for watching. You are deserving. I'll see you guys very soon. Stay safe and remain focused. Bye.